Hello and welcome to another episode of the Realty Rundown. My name is Chris Atwell, and I am joined by two Central Florida real estate all-stars, Carrie Prieto and Alexis Locke.
Hello there.
Today's episode is going to explore the Realtor Party, Realtor Advocacy, RPAC, and all things relating to advocacy and real estate. I'm super excited to have Alexis and Carrie with me today. We're going to get to have some fun talking about our shared observations of advocacy, how advocacy impacts real estate and impacts the consumers, the buyers and sellers, the property owners who are hopefully listening to this podcast and enjoying it thoroughly. And we're going to talk about what the future looks like for advocacy in this ever-changing environment. So thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So Alexis, when you got into real estate and you began getting involved with the association, what was like the thing that catapulted you into being engaged with the Realtor Party?
Yeah, I would have to thank my public education from Washington State because I had a really amazing political science teacher, and his name was Mr. Darby. I remember him saying that policy impacts everything. So it doesn't matter whether you're in a corporation or not in a corporation. It doesn't matter if you're just an everyday homeowner or even renter. It is going to affect every facet of your life. So make sure that you stay active and engaged. And ever since I was a young kid, I was always an activist of sorts. So it just felt natural once I found out that there even was a Realtor Party with the Realtors. That's when I was like, I'm all in. How do I make my pledge for 10,000? And how do I hit that Hall of Fame as fast as I possibly can?
Okay, so for some of our listeners who may not know some of the terminology that you use, Hall of Fame, hit that 10,000. What does that mean? Where does that fit in? We know, right? Because we live it and we're a part of it every year. But what does that mean? And where did you feel that impact that made you go, okay, I'm going to become a platinum or I'm going to hit that 10,000 mark?
Yeah. And, just to relate to if there's Realtor members out there that are watching this, when we joined real estate, we wanted to go in and we wanted to help as many people as possible. That way we could provide true generational wealth for our own family and hit the ground running. So the way you participate and the way you show up is really how you're going to see and reap those benefits. And the way you show up for your industry is also how much you're going to be able to advise your client. So I started just taking classes nonstop at the Orlando Regional Realtor Association and educating myself on what our industry was about, how to service the client, and really hone in on those skills. And then that's when I remember Beverly Pindling, a past president, did the new member orientation, and she said, join a committee, just something that you're interested in. And I said, Young Professionals Network. I was 24, I think, when I got here. So I was like, that's my realm. And so I joined the YPN, and it was at the Young Professionals Network where a member came in and they talked about the Realtor Member Party. And I was like, what is that? And they're like, oh, well, that is our investment into politics to make sure that we have real property right forward policies and laws and industry practices, best friendly practices at the forefront, and making sure that our job is easier to do. So when we talk about the Realtor Member Party, that's our investment, basically our union of the realtor member industry as a whole.
Our voice.
Yeah.
And the cool thing, like what I think probably sets it apart, and Carrie, you can probably talk to this more. What sets the Realtor Party apart from a lot of other organizations or other advocacy groups is the fact that it benefits every consumer, because it's so not single issue, but there's so much common ground, no pun intended, around the real property rights issues.
That's exactly right. Being the chair for government affairs this year, I had to say it was so eye-opening to me, especially being in Tallahassee. We were there and in DC, but especially the first time in Tallahassee, being there in front of our, legislative body, bringing the actual day-to-day problems that our homeowners here are facing. They were not even aware. They had no idea of the attainable issues that people are seeing. I mean, some of the people had no clue about what's happening with the condominiums. Obviously, we had to address when Sunny Isles obviously fell. We knew what happened down there in Sunny Isles. Yeah. And we had to address the situation of these condominiums that obviously have had disarray, that we need to address the fact that obviously they need to be looked at, especially considering their age and perhaps the reserve. They need to have the reserve studies. They may not have the money for that. And we've had 36 different condominiums in Orlando alone that since have had to get condemned because they did not have the money to repair that. We need help. They had no clue that this was even an issue. I mean, it's one thing, the fact that the prices have gone up so drastically that first-time home buyers, an average price for a home here in Orlando is above $500,000. How many first-time home buyers can buy that? That is crazy enough, right? But then the fact that you have condominiums where the poor people who've owned here for years and years can't even afford to maintain the property, and now they could be kicked out and not have anything. I mean, these are true issues that are affecting everybody. Yeah. So this is where RPAC can come in, or the fact that we had rent stabilization, which is against the Florida Constitution, actually almost made it to our ballot. And it was the funds that we contribute here locally and the funds that we contribute statewide. We had to put our money together and actually fight, bringing it all the way to the Supreme Court to fight that in court to get it off our ballot, in which we won the day before the ballot actually hit, which is crazy. But that is the difference that we make with our RPAC funds. And that's what people need to know. That is how important it is that you give to RPAC. It is not simply just, being able to get a PIN. It is saving homeowners, it's saving your home, and it's being able to keep things like home ownership for everyone and property rights. So this is a really important issue that is really important they give back.
Yeah, and I think the terminology, being able to view it and frame it as an investment when you're investing in the Realtor Party or an RPAC. I hear there's a lot of, or I think there's a minority of critics out there that will get fixated on one issue or one thing that RPAC did or one candidate they gave to. But on the whole, it is like almost inarguable that the net benefit to the consumer in Florida, the net benefit to the real estate industry, so not just realtors, insurance companies, title companies, mortgage, et cetera, has been overwhelmingly positive, not just in Florida, but on the national level as well. With the condo issues, I think sometimes the unsung heroes of the Realtor Party are our staff, right? That do such an amazing job, whether it's from Florida Realtors at the state level or here at the association or any of the local associations and their government affairs directors. We talk about the money a lot. We talk about the investment. But I think you hit on something. I want to unpack it with both of you. Can you remember like your first GARD or your first Realtor legislative meeting? GARD, for our listeners, stands for Great American Realtor Days. That's where people like us go to Tallahassee and advocate for everyone who doesn't come. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Go take a trip down memory lane. And what was your first experience like? What do you remember from that?
Well, I could say the most surprising thing to me again was how little our legislators knew about what was happening. What also was so impactful was seeing so many realtors from all over our state. They're excited, learning to see what the legislative process was about. That was really exciting to see. And the fact that we all joined together as one, the voice at the table, that's what it is. It's having that seat at the table to be able to represent the homeowners who aren't there and the future homeowners, right? That's the thing. That's what we do, that people don't even know what they're doing and fighting for them. So that to me was really meaningful.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I think that the collaboration across the state and even in the local level, just knowing what other jurisdictions are going through and hearing what other agents are seeing as an everyday obstacle to their business and being able to be received so widely across the Florida legislature because of our investments and how we actually allocate those investments with the PAC really showed how powerful we are being one voice and one united voice as a realtor member. So,
And I have to note, many of the legislators who do and who have been there were realtors themselves, which is kind of cool to find out too.
that's right.
Yeah, isn't that funny when you run in
Yeah.
to a legislature and you either were a realtor
I
or
saw
a
you across
realtor?
the, yeah. I saw you on a deal one time. I know.
Exactly.
I remember being in DC one year for RLM and realizing that one of the higher ranking members of Congress was a realtor prior to his life in
Mhm.
Congress. And then incidentally, um, just based off of that kind of connection and knowledge, we ran into him at a steakhouse in DC and, grabbed a photo and compared notes about real estate and
Mhm.
the market, and of course, Congress and stuff like that. And so it's cool to find that common ground. And the reality
Mhm.
is like, right, we go to whether it's DC or Tallahassee or even in Orange County when we're
Mhm.
doing more hyper local stuff, they don't know how much we invested, but they do know that we're voters. That when I say they, I mean the legislature, the political representatives, our elected officials. They know that we're there and we're taking time away from our businesses to speak on behalf of those who may not be able to take time away from their business. And they know that we have influence over other voters as well. I think that speaks a lot. I think it was uh, one of the NAR past presidents. It may have been the late Mo Vesey, but one of them started kind of like the March on Washington, where it was just a sea of blue. I hear this uh, from people that have been going to realtor legislative meetings for 2, 3 decades
Mm.
About how you know the members of Congress looked out and just saw realtors everywhere, and it was a statement. So, Alexis,
Yeah.
getting to some specific policies, because I know like affordable housing is a huge place or has a huge place in your heart. Development, over regulation of developers is probably something that keeps you up at night from time to time. And silly, unsensible regulation. What are some ways that you've observed how the Realtor Party, how the Realtor Advocacy arm has positively impacted or created an environment for development in Florida?
So, I had the honor of serving on the land use and sustainability property think tank this year. And what we're noticing across the board is that the newer buyers that are coming into the market, in order to get them to buy into home ownership, they really want an exploration of choices. So when we talk about expanding policy, we want to look at, setbacks that were maybe produced way back when urban sprawl was not non-existent. When we look at ADUs to allow aging in place, here in Orange County, we are a AAA aging in place state, so and county and city as well. So you want to make sure that we can age in place by expanding the ADUs and the accessibility, but the incentivizing the homeowners to go ahead and create those ADUs. Now, I would love to say that we've made a ton of headway, but unfortunately, we're not quite there yet. I do think, though, that more legislators are opening up their minds and realizing that unless they can get down to the local level and really expand those types of policies, that, it's going to take that federal, state, and local partnership to make sure that we can really expand development and different types of housing that are available to the consumer.
On the topic of affordable housing and making housing more affordable for consumers, um, I know an area that you were intimately involved with for um, a good period of time was Hometown Heroes. And I think you've worked with a few Hometown Heroes buyers.
Yeah.
What has that meant to you and to your business, and kind of take us through the process of, sitting there and watching that come to fruition.
Yeah. So it was interesting because I think leading up to that, both you and I were looking at, the Zadowski funds and kind of where they went. And then in come the realtors, where we're like, we need to generate policy, but we need to generate a policy that this could never happen again, where, we could get reallocated, because we always need down payment assistance. So then in comes the Live Local Act that folded the Hometown Heroes. Now, Hometown Heroes in itself is a self-funding product. So it's something that's going to not only be sustainable and have that longevity, but also it's something that's not going to get reallocated just because we need resources expended somewhere else. So I think that what that really does is it holds all governments accountable to making sure that we have that affordable housing option and those down payment assistance options available. Now, I would love this next year if our legislator could consider expanding the jobs again.
Yeah.
But for now, I'm really happy to work with all of our medical professionals, our firefighters, getting them that additional assistance, not just with Hometown Heroes, but it can actually be partnered with some of the payment assistance from Orange County. And they're really happy to collaborate. But you do have to be under contract before you get those. So make sure that you're working with reputable agents.
Good point.
Yeah, I think that's one of probably the wins, because we know the economic impact every time a property is sold, a home is sold. We know that is a positive economic impact across business sectors.
Yes.
You have a roofer, a handyman, a appliance company, GE is making money on that in most instances. So that's something that is a net benefit to everybody. And that's a policy that's been a part of the Realtor Brain Trust, that said, okay, we have a problem. The problem is that these funds for affordable housing keep getting swept by the legislature every year. How do we solve it? And we rolled up our sleeves as a collective and solved it.
Yeah, absolutely.
About to sneeze. I think I had something fly in my nose. Sorry, Tico.
Bless you.
Wow. Crazy. My bad.
Keep that in the edits.
That's why I slowed it down for a second. He'll edit that out. Yeah. Promise, no cocaine. I'm not getting emotional. I don't know what's going on. I feel like I had something fly in my.
Yeah, your eyes are all teary.
I wish we had water bottles.
That's how I get talking about realtor issues.
Oh, I love it.
Affordable housing is such
I
a
Okay.
win. I love that.
So Carrie, we've talked a little bit about residential issues. We've talked about development. On the commercial side of things, this year, effective October 1st, right? So just recently, the business tax, right?
Yes.
For commercial leases is gone, eliminated.
Huge.
And that's not the only tax, by the way, and we'll talk about that in just a second, but it's a little moment for me. For every realtor and consumer listening to this podcast, I think it's helpful to know that over the years, many times, the state has had some wild idea about taxing compensation, broker compensation, as some type of a sales tax or some other gimmick to get in between the consumer and the broker and to capture some of those funds. And every single time, the realtors have defeated that proposal because it's not pro-consumer, it's not pro-real estate, it's a money grab. Like that, I dare say, was the commercial business lease tax. Like, why? Why do we have that? But this year, we had success, and over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, we whittled it down, and now it is gone.
Yep, 2% to 0%.
2% to 0%. Yeah. So what impact you, obviously, as a broker, deal with multiple different offices, you deal with multiple different consumers, business owners. What impact does that have overall to the mom and pop shoe shop, to the bar, to the a warehouse? Like, what is the overall impact for that?
Well, I think first and foremost, it makes Florida in general hugely more competitive in the business arena. We used to be number one for businesses, and we've dropped. Sorry, North Carolina has taken our spot. However, I think that this will give us a huge advantage for coming back because it makes us far more business friendly. Obviously, when you're taxing that, it's almost like double dipping if you think about it. And, it's hard enough to compete in a world where Amazon, is really taking over. I hate to say it. I mean, I do shop on Amazon too. I'm not going to admit I don't. But the reality is, there's just one other way to keep the consumerism down, really. That's in the truth. And when you have sectors where right now it's hard enough to get commercial leases, look at the Narcoossee Avenue. Like you can't even get a space. Look at Claremont, to try to get any kind of thing built over there. The commercial space is it's near impossible. And then to think that they're charging on top of it sales tax, right? On top of those commercial leases, it almost becomes impossible for the poor business owners. So if you think about the turnover rate in those spaces, how many businesses it's a great restaurant. No, that business is gone already. You just can't even maintain the business community. And so I think what this will really do will establish long-term customers, first of all, which will really help, I think, root the communities better, number one. Number two, it will bring more, even international customers here, which will be great. And people from all over there, because most of our people, let's face it, don't come from Florida, right? I mean, are you guys from Florida?
Yes.
You are?
New Smyrna Beach.
Really? Where are you from?
I'm a proud Texan.
See? Okay. I'm a New Yorker, but most
little
people,
shout out for NSB.
we come from other places in general, right? And so it just makes us more, I think, attainable to get a business here. And so this is a very exciting opportunity for Florida, for the business community, and for those people who want to raise a family here and create a life here. So I think, especially after COVID, how many businesses closed after COVID? So this is going to be an opportunity for rebirth, I think, for the community within the commercial sector. So I'm excited about it.
And let's zoom out for a minute. Another basically this is like Victory Lap podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the realtor industry, I think one of the things about the realtor party is we're good internally about telling each other the victories that we've had.
Yes.
But the consumers, I don't know that it always translates to the consumer, even the person who may not be a property owner, but they're a tenant and they're affected by
because it gets passed down to them. Correct. It's a pass through.
I think probably the thing that realtors have been most consistently victorious at, it's like that gnat that keeps coming back and you have to keep swatting it. But we swat it somehow every time. And shout out to Shannon McGann and her team in DC, because they're true professionals, is the flood insurance program.
Amazing.
Like every time when Congress starts to forget about it or leave it off, the realtor party gets activated in some way. Sometimes it's big, sometimes it's small, to remind Congress that, hey, there's significant catastrophic consequences of not continuing this program.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think we've had several near misses, but that have been cleaned up because of the realtor party. And that's something that we do as an organization, as a broader organization, on behalf of anybody that has property in a flood zone or has national flood insurance.
And I think the fact that, Governor DeSantis has actually made the flood disclosure a required document goes hand in hand with the fact that we see it's a national problem. So why wouldn't we have, obviously the insurance to go along with it, right? So, it's one obvious thing that we've had here in the state of Florida. We can't not look at these things and, as you say, push them under the carpet. We have to address them. And I think that, to your point, we have to give them credit for always making sure that it's something we focus on, because we can't ignore it. It's truly an issue here in the state of Florida.
Yeah. And I think while we're in the shout out train, I think particularly over the last 4 years, the governor has been incredibly friendly and willing to work with Florida realtors, which has been so helpful to us. And even when the foolishness of the rent control came up in Orange County, I know that they were there in Tallahassee, with us, supporting us, championing us, defeating that silliness. Let's talk for just a minute about next steps. If you're a realtor, I say time, talent, treasure, right? So not necessarily a call to action to invest, but to even get more involved. What are some opportunities that are coming up that realtors could step into to be more engaged with the realtor party?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say first, we mentioned the name of it, GUARD. It's coming up and you could register right away because it happens right in the beginning of January. So first things first, get right online at the Orlando Regional Realtors Association's website and you can sign up. If you haven't gone, it's be a great opportunity to try it and come join us in Tallahassee because I think that if you have not done it is the most amazing experience. Would you not agree?
I agree. I think that if you were to take your first steps to dipping into what is this, you're going to be surrounded around professionals that already know the policy and the issues and how long we've actually been working on these issues. So I would say that Great American Realtor Days really should be on your schedule. Stay engaged, stay with the group the whole time and really learn about what's coming down the pipe in 2026. That way you can advise your clients best and you can make your business adjustments accordingly.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute, like practically in the business, because I'm certain this has happened with you, Alexis. So tell me, how has your engagement with the Realtor Party, with Realtor Advocacy, helped you in your business? I'm sure like you've sat down and you've been a more informed realtor when you're trying to win a listing about the issues. And that's got to be, I know for others, you and I haven't necessarily talked about it, but I'm certain it's probably helped you.
Yeah, absolutely. So when the Foreign Investment Act first came out, when we were first even talking about this Foreign Investment Act that was submitted into this legislator, I immediately went to my Chinese clientele and said, we can't continue to develop in Florida. I can refer you to another state, but just to protect you financially and just to protect your time and your resources, this is not going to be the state that you want to invest in. And I was able to acquire 7 different condo listings just based on that because we have a lot of Chinese investment that are just condos that they want to come and visit in. And so we were able to go ahead and unload those listings before it became a problem where now we're going to get letters and notifications and then they're not going to be able to sell. Mm-hmm. So I was really happy to be ahead of the game on that one and really forward thinking. And my clients respect me because of that, really being that authority voice and saving them time, trouble, and hassles, because that's what we do as the real estate professional.
So now talk about next steps. That's where we were headed initially. For both of you, like you said, Great American Realtor Days, you concur with that.
Yes.
If you're a Realtor member of the Orlando Regional Realtor Association, what are you going to walk in the doors and ask for if you're a member? Like, how do you get plugged in? I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you.
Yeah, I mean, I would always say that if you walk through the doors in Orlando, I would say that you would want to join one of our committees. We have our governmental affairs committee, and even in YPN, there's liaisons that come through and step up. But yeah.
The YPN pledge, which you can Google and check out if you'd like. All right, as we start to wrap this up, let's do some rapid fire stuff. You down for that?
Sure.
So I'm going to disagree with you guys for just a second. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Why not?
I think, and I love GUARD. I absolutely adore GUARD. The block party is awesome. Florida Realtors does a jam up job. They do a great job of like both formal and informal encounters with elected officials and their staff. Phenomenal. But Realtor Legislative Meetings has a very special place in my heart. And I want to make sure the people listening to this, whoever's still listening, is aware that that opportunity exists. If like money and time were widely available resources, I cannot encourage you enough to come up and be a part of the Realtor Legislative Meetings in DC. DC is such a beautiful city. It's such a historic city. It has so much great food, by the way.
It's so true.
But it's really an opportunity for you to encounter members of Congress. And in fact, a couple of years ago, I was there with a past president of the association and a couple of our other leaders, and we stumbled into the president of the United States. We've also had many presidents of the United States come and speak to our group at those Realtor legislative meetings. So I really encourage members listening to this, as well as anybody in the affiliate space and the allied industries, come be a part of the Realtor legislative meetings. You won't regret it.
Well, I was going to say that's the following step, because
That's the next step. Okay. All right.
And we also then will have, which we did this year with government affairs, and we're going to continue, is the real estate seminars that we put on both for Seminole and Orange County.
Yes.
And those were fabulous this year. The State of the Real Estate of Review, which we put on, the State of the Market. Thank you. And we're going to be doing them again. We will be hosting them again. So look out for those. We will be doing many great, wonderful things coming up this year too. So there's going to be many wonderful opportunities to get involved. So just stay tuned.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, set a Google alert or something.
Yeah.
State of Orange County real estate, State of Seminole County real estate.
They will be great.
Set a Google alert. If you're a member, you'll get emails. But if you're a shareholder, if you're any type of stakeholder in the community, in the real estate industry, and you want to encounter around common ground of real property rights, pro property policy on a hyper local level, that's the place to do it, no doubt. And all right, just like shout out to our staff here who put that together.
Yeah,
great
they did
event.
an amazing job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So, it's interesting because I think we got the next step for the new agent, the next step for maybe even like the seasoned agent. That's kind of like, all right, well, maybe I need to get involved more with the, association. However, I know that there is a demographic out there that are top producing agents that, tend to still have their doubts and their disbelief in exactly what do we do as the Realtor party. So I really want to encourage those members to consider coming to either the midwinter or the actual Florida Realtor Convention, and specifically look for the public policy event that they have. That is where you can not only have your own voice heard, where you can talk to the people that actually write the legislation for Florida Realtors, and you can come and you can express your thoughts, or you could just listen in to see what we're trying to combat in the next few years. That way you can get a better understanding of where your investment entirely goes to and how much say that we actually have generating actual policy that helps you keep not only more money in your pocket, but most importantly in the consumer's pocket, especially with this volatile market.
Yeah.
I want to share one thing from a broker standpoint. I run 4 offices throughout Central Florida, and I'm going to say, as a broker, to be able to have the information I have from Trey, who is amazing, you should sign up for those updates.
You took the words out of my mouth.
To be able to share that with all of my advisors and to get them in the know and to be able to share with them so they could share it with their customers. That is invaluable information. And to me, I believe it's my job as the broker to be able to get them the information so they can share it. Because to your point, top producing agents, they're busy and they don't have the time necessarily to go out and get the information. So if you as the broker have the time to get the email, disseminate the important bullet points and share it with your top advisors and all of your advisors and just give them the high level overview of what's happening, what your association is doing, what the National Association is doing, what's being done right now in your community. I think you have just hit the nail on the head and you can now prepare your people before they go out into the community.
Yeah. That email, that was the thing that I was going to say. That's the next thing that you can do like today.
Yeah, exactly.
Get with 4 Realtors, tell them I want to be a part of this list. Trey Goldman,
Trey's amazing.
An MVP. I don't know how he does what he does.
He's amazing.
And just to give an idea, like we had 144 bills into the legislature this last year. So Trey wrote all those bills, partnered with different people, different of our legislators, to get the support for those bills. So you will be able to get that on tap. And to your point, Carrie, I think as a broker, like it's your duty to your agents that you are informing them of these things coming down the line.
Yeah.
And to keep them updated with where you're at, right? Because a lot of times you put something out there, but you may not know till the end of the year where it went. And so to be able to say, this is where we're at, this is where it's going, this is the update, it's really nice to be able to share that kind of information, because that's what he does. He'll tell you, this is where it's at, this is where we're going with it. And that's what's so exciting about it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm just looking at his last update right now.
It's incredible.
And there's so many different links in here.
I know.
So if you see an I'm not interested in that. That's cool, but I don't really care about, I'm really interested in that. Click here and you can see everything about whatever the subject is. In this case, it's the Senate November interim committee meetings.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I get, obviously the Florida Realtors emails, and I get the Orlando Regional Realtors emails, and I get them all. But I read every one from Trey.
Absolutely.
No matter how busy I am, I read them all. They're great.
Yeah. So I think going back, kind of wrapping this up a little bit, part of being a leader in the business is being involved and being engaged in some meaningful way.
I agree.
Whether that is investing in RPAC, whether that's showing up and going to guard, going to one of these events to engage with elected officials, or whether that's simply like we have opportunities during the election year to be a precinct ambassador, to be there for the Realtor Party, just like you have the D's and the R's and the L's and the G's and everyone else that's out there, Libertarians and the Green Party and everybody else. You have the opportunity to do that as a Realtor with the Realtor Party, to say, hey, these are the Realtor issues and these are the Realtor endorsed candidates. And I think I just saw today, we're like an even 50-50 on the federal level of Democrats and Republicans, because as we know, like with flood insurance, sometimes you can't get that passed without some people from the other side of the aisle stepping over, depending who the majority is. And that's why I just so admire NAR's public policy department, like from the grassroots, local level, the FPCs, the key contacts, all the way up to the direct relationships in DC. It's an incredible organization, and I feel blessed to be a part of it, and to be a part of it with amazing people like you guys.
Absolutely.
Well, we are thrilled to be it, and to be there, to your point, and see it all in action is not only exciting and really, and to see it, but really to go back to your point in a listing presentation and to be able to share it with the public is, and not only inspiring, but it gives them the feeling of confidence to know that you're the one they want to work with. Absolutely. So it does elevate you as well.
Yep. Totally. And I think as real estate professionals, it's our job to be that pillar of knowledge, to be consistent and show up constantly for our consumers. I like to say that my investment is my way of not just protecting them while we're going through the process of purchasing a property, but also it's my way of protecting them after the transaction. So stay involved, stay engaged, and read your emails.
Right? Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. And thank you to our listeners. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already to Orr's Realty Rundown podcast. Episode 5 will be coming to you very soon. Thanks for spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.